Hi, I'm the Moonlit Page Turner. Grab your treat, grab your tea, and let's talk books. For this month's read, we are traveling to Benin. Well, sort of, because our book, Autobiography of the Lower East Side by Rashidah Ismaili, actually takes place in New York. But Ismaili is originally from Benin, and Benin is a country in West Africa. It's situated between Togo and Nigeria, and it was colonized by the French in the late 1800s and then became independent in 1960. And Benin is comprised of a multitude of different types of people. The official language there is French, and we have two main religions, but it was run before by a lot of independent kingdoms. And so that has kind of been the collective of Benin, where you have different ethnic groups, which will become important in our story because our story does deal with a lot of different types of people. Before we get into this month's read, let's get into this month's treat. Now, these may look like regular donuts. Again, we talked about that the French colonized Benin, and the French do like their fried doughs, their beignets. This is called Yovo Doko, and Yovo Doko is a little bit different. It does have, you see the sugar on top is actually vanilla sugar. So you take a vanilla pod, you cut it open, and you mix it with your sugar, and it's delicious. But the thing with Yovodoko is that you also want to make sure that you're frying it in peanut oil. Now, I didn't fry mine in peanut oil because I don't use a lot of peanut oil, but I heard that that gives it a more richer taste. So I used a different type of oil. You also want to make sure that you cook it so that it's brown because you want to make sure that there's no raw dough on the inside. So if it's not golden crispy, then probably you'll have raw dough. I do not in mine. It's good, it's light and fluffy. It is definitely best to eat it soon after frying, though. But the sweetness of the sugar makes all the difference. Our read for Benin is the autobiography of a Lower East Side, and that is by Rashidah Ismaili. And this is not an autobiography. So this is fiction. It's actually a bunch of short stories all in one. It's 11 different short stories. And the reason why it's called Autobiography of the Lower East Side, one, it takes place in New York on the Lower East Side. Two, each chapter is a different character. And so it's almost like their autobiography. We don't get their full life story, just a snapshot within a time window. So this takes place, our first story is Nusa. And Nusa is an immigrant, and she's coming to New York with her son, young son, and her husband. Her husband actually leaves them to go do his education on the West Coast, and Nusa is taking her education in New York. And they move into an apartment complex. And this apartment complex will become important because it is the setting for several people's stories. And we do see a wide range of characters. Nusa will be in other people's story. In fact, she is a big focus in Bill's story, who is the next chapter. Bill is from the South. He's an African American man who's an actor, and he meets Nusa, and then Nusa and Bill will be in somebody else's story. So they are all connected. Sometimes we'll get a little bit of a story in one person's chapter. I think this happened with Bill's chapter, and then we get the fuller story later on in like chapter 7. And so I gave this 4 stars. I really liked this, but I felt like the organization of the chapters to me were a little confusing and a little off. I wish I would have switched a couple of them because by the time I got to chapter 7, I forgot who certain characters were because we were introduced to so many new characters that it took me a while to connect back to the main story. But overall, I really like this book. You do have a wide range of characters. Nusa is from Africa. Bill is from the South. We have somebody from Canada. We have different ethnic backgrounds as well as religious backgrounds and different like belief systems. So it was a good mixture of people within the stories, and that they are all connected, I thought was a really interesting way to tell a full story, having different protagonists all within the same world and they're all interconnected. So overall, I really enjoyed this book. I actually would love to read something else that she writes. I know that Ishmaeli writes a bunch of poetry, so I might be checking her out again. Hey, thanks for stopping by. Our next adventure is in Bhutan, and we're reading folk tales from Bhutan. If you are ever interested in what we're reading or what we've read in the past, please join us on Goodreads and Instagram. See you then.